Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Hello, happy Saturday. We have another Saturday food support group. And we just get together every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time, and we just talk about our food. We talk about how we have broken our addiction to sugar and processed food, and we're all on a different journey. Some of us are just still breaking that addiction. Some of us have mastered it, but we're tweaking things. And we use this as a support group to encourage each other and to have that accountability, to be able to have somebody see us face to face, and to know that we're not alone on this journey, because it feels like we're alone in our physical environment. But the really cool part is that our body doesn't know the difference between physically having somebody right there eating this way and seeing someone on Zoom. So thank you guys so much for being here. And this week we have a treat. Ayana is with us, and Ayana and I have been connected for 7, 8, 9, 10 months, something like that. We met in Steak and Butter Gals meetings, and I have just been so drawn to her and so connected to her. I love how intense she does everything, and I really relate with that because she just dives in, and she is so curious. I think that's another thing that I really related with Ayana. But her story is phenomenal. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So Ayana, welcome, and tell us what your journey has been like.
Hello, Emily, and thank you for inviting me. I've been wanting to come so many weeks, and so I finally made it here.
Yay!
Yay. So yeah, wow. I'm going to give you a quick background first,
Yes.
so things make sense. I was normal weight, like all the way up until like 8 years old, right? And then 9 or 10, I got my cycle early, and I think that has something to do with it. But but I just blew up around 9 or 10 years old, like 4th, 5th grade. Don't know why, hormones, but I also love donuts. Like it was like, sugar, carbs, fat, all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And so, right. So, and my mom was a diabetic her whole life. She, bless her heart, she passed away in May, but she never had the best eating habits. And so she would allow things that, say, if I was with my dad and went to the store with him, he would be like, no, you're not having that, right? She would let me indulge whenever I wanted. But she noticed that I was irritated with my weight gain. And so she's like, okay, here, just, use my diabetic diet. And that's what I did. I like got, like you said in the introduction, I zoned in on what to do. And I was only like 10. And I was like, okay, eat this, eat this, eat this. Right. And so at that young age, I started counting calories. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Right. And I lost the weight. Like, cause I was at 10 years old, I was what I weigh right now. Like I was big. So weight needed to be lost, but unfortunately I was, it could have been done in a better way, but we were just doing the best we could. So I lost the weight. And by the time I got to middle school, I felt confident. And I kept the weight off through middle, high school, college, honestly. After I got married though, getting married, starting a new career and grad school, I just started putting the weight back on, like slowly, slowly, slowly. Right. So by the end of my 20s, I was like 188. And because
how tall are you?
I'm only 5'5".
Okay. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. So that was big. And I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. Maybe someone at that weight feels awesome, but I was not comfortable in my own skin. And I fell in love with bodybuilding at 16. So the exercise was always there because that's just what I love. So it's easy to do. I don't even have to think about it. But I love food. And I don't come from a under eating background. I come from an overeating background. And so I was like, okay, this is annoying. I want this off, right? Let me backtrack, in my 20s, and I don't know where, because I was talking to Jessa Lynn on her Instagram live about this. I don't remember where it started, but I started binging.
Okay.
Like, when did I start? It had to have been in my mid 20s. It's a blur. And I started binging, and then I started like, when did the purging happen? The purging happened a little, maybe when I got to my later 20s, and it wasn't, up. I would take laxatives or I would overexercise. So, and I don't know where I picked it up. I just started doing it. And I would have episodes and I just like, forget it. And then my wanting to make it right was, I think, is when my mentality was like, all right, let me fix it. So I think that's when I started the purging. So I had several episodes of that off and on in my mid to late 20s. And so I don't know if you guys have heard of this. God, what, HCG? Oh my gosh.
Yes, I did HCG.
Right here. So I've always, I'm much more disciplined person now, but in my late 20s, I was not. And I was always striving to attain discipline. It's always something that I strived for because that's the one quality I knew I did not have. So I did HCG. I told my husband, I was like, look, we're paying for this. I have to check in, the accountability. At this point, I didn't care about the health of it. So, and I lost, I did 2 cycles. I did a 40-day and then I did a 21-day and I lost the weight. Don't recommend that, but I did it.
No. If you are listening to this, do not try HCG.
Please don't. So anyways, but they played a really good game of like making you think it was good.
And
so
healthy.
Yeah, no, they did. I was like, okay. And I didn't know as much as I do know now about health, right? So, so I did that. But the good thing about it was the after plan. And I've already been by this time familiar with Dr. Atkins because I had done his diet in my mid 20s. I was successful, but I didn't stick to it. So, and the after plan, when they said, hey, when you're done, do low carb, keto type of thing. And I was like, So that's what I started implementing afterwards. And I raised my calories up. But that's also when I got more into bodybuilding. So it kind of parlayed itself into my stint of like 4 years of bodybuilding.
Got it.
And right, and competing and stuff like that. So honestly, during that time, I didn't really have any binging, purging episodes, maybe one or two during off season. But that competing developed a discipline in me that nothing else instilled in me ever.
Wow. So you learned something from competing.
Oh, yes. That's why I love it. And that's why I feel that if you can handle it, I think everybody should do a competition. That's just because I love the structure. And I've always my entire life have craved structure because listen, and this is not a, as one of my friends says, hashtag bragging, this is not a brag, but yes, I have graduated college. I've completed 2 master's degrees and 1 equivalent. Like I know how to do something and accomplish it and finish it. But my weakness was always food, right? So with the competition, what accountability do you have then to get on stage and showcase the body of work you've created? So that was so just, I loved it. So that taught me so much discipline, and it just honestly taught me a lot about nutrition as well. And when I was done competing, I kept it going, the lifestyle. But that's when some of the binging came back, right? I kind of lost discipline, not completely. And I had a partial hysterectomy around 36. But I still have my ovaries. But I was still good after that. I was still maintaining and still doing good. It wasn't until 2018 and 2019, I lost my way. I lost my habits that I had created and that I loved. And I ballooned back up to like 185, 188. It was like mentally that did something to me. And I was like, never again. Never.
Because you had already mastered it. And then it's just like you're returning to this misery.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, what a hard lesson to learn. And so during COVID, I lost it with my friend, Scott Kramer. He was my coach. And I got it off. It took over a year to lose about a little over 50 pounds. So that was a few years ago. But it's just, I had to sit with myself and ask myself, why did I let that happen? Why did I let that happen? And it was honestly because I let the habits that I created go by the wayside. And so, going to the gym every day, doing what I loved, being mindful of the food that I ate. I just stopped being mindful of it. Those were the 2 main things. And so I really, because that's why I've done posts of in the past of fit to fat to fit, because I believe that you can get back to where you're comfortable, but you also have to understand why you let yourself kind of go down that road where you're not happy, and really take note of it. And that was a lesson that I took, whoa, okay, this is going to have to be a part of my life, and this cannot deviate from anything. And so, and then the binging, and that's another thing, one more thing, the binging and purging, I honestly think that comes back to I was restrictive since 10 years old.
Yeah.
But right. So that has a part in it. But it didn't start happening until my 20s. So I don't know. But what was I going to say? Oh, the food. I really feel that protein and fat feed you properly. And so you don't necessarily, when you're focused on those 2 macronutrients, it's not as common, I think. Yes, the behaviors still have to be worked through, but I think when you're getting the right food in you, it's less, at least for me.
That's awesome. So it's like it takes out a component of the binging and purging because of the actual substances that you're eating, that whenever you include sugar and processed foods, that opens the door to the behaviors.
Exactly. And I mean, and someone asked me in another interview, like, are you an abstainer or a moderator? And like, maybe in this space, I am perceived more as a moderator, but like to the outside world, I'm an abstainer. You know what I mean? I'm an abstainer. So it's like, so I do have to stay away from certain foods, the sugar, the carbs, and the carbs that are mixed with fat. Let's be honest. Like, I'm not trying to eat a potato or plain pasta. It's the pizza, it's the ice cream, it's the sugar and fat combo, right?
Yeah.
So I have to keep that out of my diet. So that I have to abstain from, and then maybe other things I moderate more. But
so, and this concept is really interesting to me, that you have found what works for you in competitions, but it's not sustainable to be constantly in a competition.
Yeah.
So how have you adapted this in a sustainable way?
Yeah. So it taught me a lot about discipline, the competing. And so what I did was, even when I was done, before I let myself blow up again, it's like the way of life. And if you talk to any competitor, they always talk about the lifestyle, and live the lifestyle, whether you get on stage or not. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I mean by that. So I live the lifestyle. I go to the gym every day. I am mindful of my food, protein first, and it's just living that way, without necessarily having the end goal of getting on stage. But it's that lifestyle, because competitors are very disciplined. You have to be. Any athlete working towards something is going to be like, strict. But with bodybuilding, it's such a slow process. And it's not necessarily based on performance, like a power lifter or a CrossFitter. It's aesthetic, but yes, you are performing in the gym to get to that. And so it does take that discipline and that patience. And those are two things that I'm weak in. Like, people who just now get to know me think I'm disciplined, but it's taken years for me to get to where I'm at right now, and I'm still not where I should be. So, but it takes discipline and patience, and those two things I really have a problem with. So I'm going to be working on that until I croak,
Yeah. And what I love about you, like I said at the beginning, is your curiosity and your drive to experiment. And so right now you are doing a new experiment with the Robert Sykes protocol. And so tell us a little bit about that, because I really think that you have found what works for you, in that you always have to have something that you're like a project.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because even during my second and last weight loss journey during COVID, I did 75 hard, which is intense. But I did it because I was like, you know what? I need to tap into my discipline a little bit more. Okay, so with Robert Sykes, keto bodybuilding, whoa. Okay, so I haven't decided if I'm going to get on stage or not, right? That's, to be determined, because I need to see what's underneath, and I know I'm going to have to build more muscle. So I'm just I'm seeing how everything works out. But this is a different approach. All right. The bodybuilding preps I've done in the past have been higher protein, moderate fat, low carb. And so that was what they put on me. Other girls would get higher carb, low fat, high protein. It depends on body type, right? So I'm more of an endomorph, mesomorph. So I can put on muscle and fat very easily, but it takes a lot for me to lose the fat. So that's the approach they gave me, and I'm used to that, right? He starts you off at 80% fat, right? Okay. And and then the rest like barely 20% protein. And so it's similar to Dr. Boz, but not as much, not that close, but kind of close. So you start there. And I've had to kind of go backwards because I was starting his program and I'm like, okay, week, I'm in phase 2. I stopped and kind of went back because I'm not fat adapted. And for everything else to work, because through his phases, he ups the protein a little bit and drops the fat a little bit. And then you stop there, and then he drops the protein and the fat as you go through phase 3, because you're working towards stage lean, right? Okay, makes sense. But like, I'm not fat adapted yet, so I'm going a lot slower. And like today at the gym, I just came back from a leg workout, right? I was my dizziness came back again. And and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, okay, it's not the electrolytes, it's not the magnesium. My body is like just trying to adapt. That's honestly what it is. It's trying to adapt to being a fat burner. And that's what I really think, like my weirdness in the last few weeks, it's just my body's trying to adapt. But anyways, I love it. And I want to sit here for a few weeks and try to get as fat adapted as I can, and then work my way through all of his phases, which he recommends anyways, so I have to be patient.
So he does have that flexibility in the program. It's not like, okay, yeah, you do phase 1 for a week. Okay, you do phase 2 for a week. Okay, you do, like, you need to like read yourself and know, am I ready to go to phase 2? Am I ready to go to phase 3?
Yes, he gives an outline, but he's like, hey, in the book, he's like, if you have to sit still for a while, do so. You know what I mean? Because it's like you want to be fat adapted. And then to go through the phases, you want to do it as best as you can, because he coached Dr. Fit and Fabulous. Oh, yeah. For her competition, and she's probably already fat adapted, right? And so, but she moved through the phases too to get stage lean. And so I want to do it right. So yeah, he's like, there's no strict boom, boom, boom. Although I probably would work better with that, but I'm challenging myself.
So can you speak a little bit on what your experience is like now with those thoughts of binging and purging?
Yeah. So let me see. When I feel like I am being pushed up against the wall, like, so if I feel like I am being put in a box,
like you're stressed with like,
or when I tell myself, oh, you must do it this way.
Okay.
And like, you have to do it this way. And if you don't, and then if you mess up, then so that mental cycle starts happening. And I'm like, I can't tell myself all or nothing. Even if I can't tell myself that. Because if I tell myself all or nothing, then I will want to just say, forget it if I mess up just a little bit, and then screw it, let me do what I want, and then I'll fix it later. And so even if I am being strict, I can't mentally tell myself, you can't have this, you can't have that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can't do that. So like last night I did happy hour. I don't drink, but I did happy hour. And so I was like, okay, this is probably the moderator in me. I got a bondigas, like meatball, right? Shrimp, ceviche, and these scallops in garlic butter sauce. So I was like, okay, you know what? It's all protein and fat. I'm good. Like, yeah, there's some stuff in there I don't know that they probably cooked with it. Fine, whatever. I'm going to be good. This is fine. It doesn't bother me. I didn't touch the bread, whatever. I'm good. And, so in that way I can be a moderator. But if I told myself, well, I can't eat anything because this is not exactly in my plan, then I probably would have just said, screw it, and just eaten stuff I shouldn't have. So it's my self-talk. I had to be careful of my self-talk.
Yeah. And I've heard you say that before. about not necessarily what you are doing, but what you are telling yourself. Tom, go ahead.
Oh, Ayana, I was just wondering, so I take it you do bodybuilding, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So is that you do it for competition or just for your own personal?
Both. So I did compete several years ago, and I've kept up with the lifestyle. Like I said, until a few years ago, where I kind of lost my way. But I still live the lifestyle now, and I am putting myself through an experiment to kind of. I haven't been stage lean in 10 years, so I want to see what I have underneath. What I've been trying to build. And if it's not that bad, I'm going to kind of put myself through a reverse once I get there, and then possibly think of something in the spring. I'm not sure. So little combo. We'll see.
But that's awesome. And
I did want to see the guns though. I did want to see your guns.
Oh, I'm not that impressive right now.
Yes, you are.
That's like, I'm like 20 pounds from stage lean, but there you go.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you.
And the before and after pictures, I love that you have. I think you just did a story just recently, and the before and after pictures are just amazing. If you guys want to follow her on Instagram at Keto Fitness Vegas.
Yes, Keto Fit Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Keto Fit Vegas at
yes.
Keto Fit Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, that was one of the really cool things in your mindset was that you learned Ayana. You didn't learn this method or that method. You did this inner clarity work where you worked on, okay, what do I best respond to? What do I not best respond to? And you became your own scientist. You became your own observer, and you really navigated what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you. I that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm still doing that because there's other things I have to work on. So it's like one step at a time type of thing. Cause I'm like, there's some things that I want to like conquer, so to speak. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for the rest of my life, but I want to be able to be like, okay, I did it type of thing. So like the like artificial sweeteners, right? One day I'll take that out. Like right now, no. But like I have it, but even my friends have been like, you're so much better with, you know, because I would put like tons of like Splenda and stuff, and I don't do that anymore. But even my friends are like, you hardly use anything anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting better. So I'm like trying to titrate that back. But it's I'll have it in my coffee, like stevia in my coffee. I'll have it in my electrolytes, and every once in a while, a little bit more of like, I don't know, in my yogurt or something. But you know, I'll get there. I'll get there because I do want to challenge myself with it. You know what I'm saying? And be like, okay, yeah, I did that, because I think I've only lasted a couple of weeks. So
yeah, and like I said, I love that you know yourself, and you know that if you said today, Ayana, you are never going to have an artificial sweetener again in your life. You're going to stop today. We know what would happen. This monster with like 5 heads would come out and wreck everything. And so I think that it's so beautiful to really appreciate the difference between perfection and being effective and being productive. Like perfection's not possible if you are literally sabotaging yourself.
That's basically what happens. Yep, that's basically what happens. And it's like, for me, I'm like, okay, let me concentrate on consistency. You know what I mean? Because my problem, you guys are familiar here with Gretchen Rubin, I think, right? I
haven't heard of her.
You haven't? Oh my gosh. I think I read one of her books when I did 75 Hard. Gretchen Rubin, she's got like the personality types. You're an upholder, questioner, obliger, rebel.
Okay.
So I took the test. I took it a few times, which you're going to laugh because I questioned it and I'm a questioner. So I took it a few times. I'm like, what? Well, anyways, so I came out like literally half and half. I was a little bit more of a questioner, but I'm also a rebel. So I question things and I'm also a rebel. And so that could be a recipe for disaster because I get into information overload sometimes and I'm like, okay, all right, I need to find out more information on this. I don't know about that. So I question and then I'm like, I rebel. So those are things I have to work on. It's good to question things, but sometimes you can get into information overload, right? So, but I think I'm not an obliger or an upholder. An upholder wants to they hold themselves accountable and they are accountable to other people. Obliger, they're not accountable to themselves, but they're holding themselves accountable only to other people. That's not me. Questioners rely on what they want to do and what they're comfortable with, and they're holding themselves accountable to themselves. They don't really care what anyone else says. And well, you can guess what a rebel is. They're neither.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I'll have to look her up. Gretchen Rubin. I'll have to look her up.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It is.
I want to also say what has been so beautiful about your journey is that, yes, it has been your journey, but you have used it to share with others. Not only in Steak and Butter Gal when I first met you, but also now in Carnivores Angels Mighty Network. You are a
moderator.
Yes. I was trying to think of the word. Moderator there. And so what has that experience been like for you helping other people?
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it so much because that's like what I really enjoy doing is helping other people. So I was so happy when Amy asked me to do that. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, because she's like, yeah, Danny and I were talking and, your name came up and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I was very honored to be asked because I'm currently, life has thrown some curveballs, but I will get it done. I'm currently getting my certification in sports nutrition. And then later on, I'd like to get a certification in keto specifically so that I can eventually be certified to coach myself, but it'll happen. But in the group, I always pass it off to the coaches, right? But when I can, I'll give my 2 cents and help them, especially if I get DM'd, private message or something like that. I can help too. And then just sharing my story and what I'm doing helps others too. So.
Yeah. And to take away the stigma, to be able to say, I struggle with these thoughts and these behaviors of purging and binging. And that, I've heard you say before, I am winning the battle in this right now, but it's right there under the surface.
Yeah.
I know that it is something that I can't just dismiss and act like it's not there because I'm going to end up right back at where I was in 2019, 2018.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure. Everything I do every day, it's all about consistency. And I know a lot of people don't like to track necessarily, but it does hold me accountable and gives me information. If I don't have a specific goal like I do right now, if my goal is just to maintain, I don't track as meticulously. But when I am working towards a goal, I do track. So tracking something has always helped me stay accountable, and staying active every day keeps me accountable, but it's mostly the tracking. So let's say if I'm maintaining, And I'm not really working towards like certain physique goals or whatever, which I'm always kind of focused on recomping, but whatever. As long as I'm kind of getting an idea of the overall calories I'm intaking and making sure I'm hitting my protein, I'm good. And that's all I really track. So I make it easy on myself. It's second nature to me though, honestly, at this time. So yeah, there's certain habits that I do that, and like you said earlier, always having something up, some goal, it's fun. So that keeps me accountable too.
Yeah, and I know that you're registered for the workshop that we're starting on Monday.
Yes.
So do you, and I love this about you, because at first I'm like, is this too much information? If she's doing like the Robert Sykes, protocol, is this too much information? But you are really good at just like, give me all the information.
Yeah.
Give it all to me and I'm going to find my own way.
Yeah, exactly. Like that to me, like I'm doing what I'm doing. And then, but that is just, I'm just curious. I just want to know, like, okay, what's it all about? And so when I'm done with this, maybe I'll go deeper into that. Like, and it also, for me, if I'm going to maybe help somebody, if I know it and understand it, then it's easier for me to help somebody. So that's kind of how I look at it too. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, like you're educating yourself so that if you do have a client that is saying, hey, I want to do this, the stuff that they're talking about in Beyond Carnivore, you can say, oh, I know that. I went through that workshop. I know the answers. Yeah. And then even though that might not be what you are practicing on a daily basis, it's still in your repertoire of things that you can educate other people about.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Because, there's people that I love, like, that are so not in this space, like Dr. Lane Norton. But I love his information because he's so scientific. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, love her. She's not, she used to be more keto. Now she's not, but she's really all about the protein. So I like to listen to all kinds of people and then kind of take a little bit from everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that that's really what we need to do, is to be that continual student, and I love what you started out with, how you were talking about how you would start out with your degrees. And it's kind of, I think about it kind of almost like a course. Whenever you do this new project, you read this new book, it's kind of like being in that competition mindset. Like, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to do this experiment, to keep yourself involved, to keep yourself intrigued.
Exactly. And this keto bodybuilding is really testing me. It is, because I am just so used to doing what I know works. Because you know what I mean? What my coaches gave me to do years ago. And I'm like, and then think about it, the community, the bodybuilding community. I was just at a posing practice the other day where all the girls that we have there's a national competition happening in Vegas right now where people are at a certain level trying to become pro. And so, I'm around everybody and whatever, and, they're all taking out their Tupperware chicken and rice and asparagus or whatever. And it's like, because it's just automatic. That's what we do. And I'm like, okay, yeah, wow. It's so easy for me to go back to that because I know it works. So relying on this new method is just like, okay, like it's hard for me, but I'm doing it because I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what this difference is feeling like? Because I think so many people who watch these, they'll send me an email or they'll send me a personal message, and they are in the trenches of being overweight, and not being comfortable in their skin. So can you talk about the difference between the way that you felt not being comfortable in your skin and the way that you feel today? Because you've lost a significant amount of weight.
Yeah.
Competition or not, you look fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, oh, gosh. Okay, how I feel. I feel like it's weird. I feel normal right
Mm,
now. I feel normal right now. This is it's meant to be like this, just because it's how I felt before. Because even in my 20s, it was a slow gain, because I was just so busy doing this and this and this. And then it was like, it wasn't rapid, it was slow. And then it got to that point, right? In 2018, 2019, it was like rapid. I was like, what? So I just felt like an alien in my own body. But
mm,
um, I I guess the way I felt then versus now, um, I have always had a level of, and I thank my parents for this, I don't know, and my upbringing, but I've always had a level of confidence, right? And so even bigger and uncomfortable, I was still like, okay, I still had a level of confidence. And so it wasn't crippling. But I still wasn't 100% me. I still just did not like it because I knew that I could be more myself, and better in the gym and all that stuff. So now this is just kind of like, okay, this is where I should be. And to feel extraordinary is when I'm like maybe making a PR in the gym, or, so experimenting with something like, well, I did a 10K and I beat my time from last time I did a 10K.
or your pull-ups.
Or the pull-ups. Yes, I'm trying to I do 3 sets, like 5, 5, and 4, but I want to do 6 in a row. And so I can get to 10. Like so stuff like that. It's just to get to this where I'm at now, it took a stronger why the second time around.
Mm,
And I had to really focus on my why to make sure it happened, because I used to think that was corny, but I was like, no, it's not. It's so true. Because if you are in the trenches and you're just like, I don't care anymore, that why is needs to be very strong. So my why was not having any regrets, because that was a big one for me. I was like, oh, I don't want to look back and think, oh, I coulda, shoulda. Like, okay, what if I get into a car accident tomorrow and I can't go to the gym? And then, like, then what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me do everything I can now. That was like the biggest one for me, not having any regrets. And then also to be an example for others. But the first one was the major one for me. I don't know what, that just stuck for me. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
no, perfectly. I mean, perfectly. I think so much, people, they get there, they say that their why is to lose weight, but it's like, you have to write the essay extra credit answer. Like, you can't just fill in the blank and say to lose weight so that I can not have regrets, so that I can look back at pictures in 10 years and not go, like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that's me. Or I didn't have the energy to go do the things. I wasn't ready to go do the things that I needed to do or that I wanted to do.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And, I watched my mom, like, she was, my best friend, loved her, and still do. And, I'll see her soon, but her loss came too soon. So, yes, she was 70, well, about to be 72, but, still, not to disrespect her or anything, because she was a beautiful woman and everyone loved her, but she definitely did not live the healthiest lifestyle, and that was always contention between us, and so I also don't want that, because that I saw the decline, the unnecessary decline, you know what I mean? So, she has a lot of qualities that I strive to have, but that was a lesson, I was like, I don't want that. And, you know, my dad, thank goodness, he lives a healthy lifestyle, you know, and I can see the stark difference, you know what I mean? So that was something else that kind of motivated me too. I was like, no, I don't want to be like this, you know, in that one part of her life. Like I do not want that for me at all.
Yeah. Well, and to have that, you know, real life example of somebody with your genetics, you know, living it out, and to go, okay, like, I love you, I respect you, but I don't want to go down your path. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't, and then to have to witness the end of her life, you know, is a real, strong, I'm sure, example in your head.
Yeah, you know, it is. It really is. And it's so funny. She was like, when I was gaining the weight in like 2018, 2019, she had to sit down with me and she's like, Ayana, you're getting a little bit big now, you know, like she did the same thing when I was in my 20s. So she wanted, like, she didn't do it for herself, but she was like, held me to a higher standard.
She wanted to take care of her baby, but she didn't take care of herself first.
Exactly. It cracked me up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Awesome. So where is the best place that people can follow your story?
Honestly, yes. And I have it it's Keto Fit Vegas. And Instagram. Yeah. And that's the best. Honestly, that's where I'm at all the time. I don't even know what my TikTok is. Don't worry about that. I haven't really got into that, but Instagram is basically where I'm at. And then also Mighty Networks and Carnivore's Angel, as well. I'm there. Those are the two places you can find me. And my goal is to share this, keto bodybuilding prep, because it's definitely different than anything I've done before. So,
well, that's awesome. And it really does inspire me. I gotta tell you, I work out pretty regularly. I use Beachbody On Demand. And I love it. I really do love it. But there are times whenever I look at your pictures, and I think, what could I do? Like, you really push the limits for me. Like, you really inspire me, where I'm just like, you know, the potential is there. Like, you know, I've leaned down, I'm healthier now. Like, what could I do? Like, could I have abs? Could I have, you know, these awesome thigh muscles? Could I have some really cool, like, biceps and triceps? I love your content. I love listening to you. Love following you. So I don't want you to think that it's falling on deaf ears at all. Like, it really is something that, I keep in the forefront of my mind.
Oh, thank you. That means so much to me, because I respect you a lot. And oh my gosh, your transfer mentally, physically, emotionally, everything is just so awe-inspiring. So that means a lot coming from you. So yes, thank you so much.
No problem. Tom, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Ayana again.
Hey.
So I'm old, and
No, you're not.
My body is like, I'm like the $6 million man without the money. I've got a replaced left knee. I have multi-level disc fusion, S1, L5, L4. So I walk 3 miles every day, but I'm thinking about the X3, and I don't know if it's a strength band. I've seen that Dr. Chafee used it on his video the other day, and I'm wondering if because I'm not going to be doing weightlifting or anything like that, but I think the best thing for me is just kinetics and, you know, stuff like that. So I just get your opinion on that for somebody to accept it like me.
Oh, yes. I think there's an echo. Sorry.
You might need to mute, Tom. There you go.
Yeah, no, I think that is wonderful, because I saw Dr. Chafee talking about that, and any resistance training I feel is good. Like, honestly, body work, because my father actually, I come from a line of like my brother and all of my uncles, they're like power lifters and bodybuilders, right? My dad took more of the genetics from his mom's side, and he's smaller framed, but he is so agile and strong. And he did so much he was in gymnastics and karate, and he did so much with body weight, his own body weight. And he was strong. You would think that he was in the gym all the time with all the others, but he did body weight pull-ups, push-ups. He had the record in his high school for most pull-ups done accurately. So I think that there's a lot to be said with body weight movements. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's an excellent plan that you're doing, especially as you're rehabbing everything that you said. So yeah, because I mean, look, like pull-ups, just that's an example. Like I am like struggling to get 6, and you know, it's a hard task. So using your body weight for a lot of things, and you said you're walking. So then when you're done with that, or like have accomplished that, then maybe try walking, if it's not too bad, uphill, just for a little bit, for half a mile, or increasing that walk to 4 miles in the same time frame. You know what I mean? Accelerating it little by little, making progression little by little. So yeah, no, I think those are excellent ways to do it.
Awesome. Great advice. Great question.
Yes.
Because you have to identify if you do have like hip replacement and just like knee replacement, stuff like that, to really start where you're at.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yes.
Well, we are getting to the end here. Is there anything else that you want to add for like closing like thought, or anything that you want people to hear?
Honestly, no, I just really, I feel honored to be here and to talk with you and everybody here. And honestly, I just feel that a meat-based diet is the way to go as far as emotional eating. It makes you physically better in and out. And it really has helped me with a lot of my food demons, and helped me stay disciplined with that part of my health and fitness journey, not getting all wishy-washy with my decisions with adding carbs and sugar into my diet, right? And so I think protein and fat rules, and you mix that with exercise and bodybuilding, then you got the recipe for being young forever.
I love it. That's perfect. Well, Ayana, thank you so much, not only for being my friend, but for being in this space and continuing to spread the love, because every time I'm in a space that you're there, you show up. You're never just like kind of there. Like you are always really extreme in going to find the answers, sometimes actively. Like I have seen us be in meetings and somebody ask a question and you are like you are researching it in live time, like in active time. So I love how you bring it to every situation that you're in. And I can't wait to continue to watch you grow, and just continue to get better. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We will talk to you guys later. Have a great Saturday.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right. Thanks.